CO and PO.
It's now being recorded.
So I would like to share that this 1 hour we will be interacting with each other. Okay, so please feel free and share and reflect as and when you feel. So we will be discussing on a very core topic of pedagogic practices, teaching and learning, and that is Bloom's taxonomy and outcomes, CO and PO. Dear friends, if we talk about taxonomy, this word comes from the field of biology, particularly zoology, botany, life sciences, where it is being used for identifying, grouping organisms according to their established natural relationship. It is this word is for classifying living organisms. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes. Okay, so this word is coming from life sciences, and this word which is coming from life sciences to classify living organism, maybe plants or animals, it is used for the concept where there is hierarchy. That means something from less complex to more complex, and where there are some levels of complexity. In that context, this word is used. Now, when we are developing instructional objectives, when we are at the verge of giving some content, when we are at the verge of teaching you students, then we are supposed to frame objectives, we are supposed to frame instructional outcomes, and at that juncture, it's important to understand that learning also occurs at different levels. It is not that all the individuals learn in the same way. There are different organisms with lot of diversity, and therefore in diverse way they learn. And therefore it's imperial for the educator to develop the objectives at different levels, design learning experiences at different levels. I believe you understand the word learning experiences. That is, some will teach by discussion way, some will teach by lecture method, some will conduct some activity. So different ways in which the teaching can be done, right? So that we can cater the learners of different types. So it is important for all the educator to understand that learning occurs at different level, and then only we can attain the learning outcomes at different levels. This fact was identified by His Excellency Sir Benjamin Bloom, and out of that he provided to the world the taxonomy of learning. So taxonomy, now this term is not confined only for classifying living organism, but it's also used in context of developing learning objectives, developing learning outcomes for the educators. So taxonomy of learning, it was given for the first time by Sir Benjamin Bloom. Why did he give? Because he desired that there should be among the learners higher order of thinking. We should not confine the learners to only remembering and reproducing, remembering and recalling. That will lead to rote learning. To avoid rote learning, to promote higher order thinking, to enable them to create new knowledge, to add to the body of knowledge, there should be higher order thinking. And out of that, he designed taxonomy of learning. And out of that, this taxonomy is called as Bloom's taxonomy, long back in 1956. So we'll discuss this Bloom's taxonomy. And before we discuss it, friends, I would like to know from you, in the chat box you can share, how does the learning takes place? Would anyone like to reflect that how does learning occur? There are diverse ways in which the learning occurs. There are different type of learners. Some are more learning by, some by doing, some by writing, right? So auditory learners are there, visual learners are there, motor learners are there, is it not? So learning occurs in different way. If we see here, the learning occurs by 3H. Okay, the teacher teaches or delivers a concept, and there is some addition in the knowledge of the learner. Understands and learn. That is, yeah, I Appreciate, very good, by interaction between learners and teachers. I appreciate those who have reflected. Thank you so much. To add to what you have just said, I would like to share that learning occurs by at head, that is by brain, by cognition, right? It is about knowing. When the teacher delivers something, there is understanding developed, enhancement in knowledge. Sometimes learning occurs by feeling, by experiencing, right? That is by heart. Thereby, the educator, the teacher is molding the attitude of the learner. That is, the learning occurs by heart, the head, and lastly, the learning occurs by experiencing, by doing. Learning by doing. You might have heard learning by doing. And thereby what is happening? Skill development is there. Yes. Learning occurs when needs are felt. Yes. Beautiful. I appreciate the active participation of all of you. Please participate, reflect, and you can stop me wherever you feel like. So learning occurs by three head. By 3H, that is the head, the heart, and the hand. Right? And every time when the teacher is teaching, there is either of these things happening. Either there is enhancement in cognition, either attitude is being developed, or there is development in the skill. There is skill development of the learner. Right? Now, if this type of learning is to be done, we can summarize that the learning occurs in three domains: cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. What's the meaning of psychomotor domain, friends? Psychomotor means, as the term said, psycho and motor, there is mind-body coordination, skill development. When an engineer is developing some gadget, okay, there is mind and body coordination. They are being hired for that particular skill that they are developing. When an optician, when an doctor is conducting some interview, yes, they are being hired, conducting some operations, they are being hired for their skill. Yes. So mind-body coordination, when the skill development is occurring, that type of learning is called as psychomotor domain. When attitude is developing, affective domain. And when knowledge is developing, that type of learning is called as, the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. So if we go back to the taxonomy of learning, it is nothing but it is having different levels of complexity and specificity. It's a hierarchical model, so from less complex to more complex. If we see more into this taxonomy of learning, in which now I believe you are clear with the concept of cognitive domain, where the knowledge enhancement is there and different levels involved in this cognition, where first of all, as I mentioned, was proposed by Sir Benjamin Bloom long back in 1956. This motivated other educators as well. And out of that, the affective domain and the levels therein were first of all proposed by Sir Cathall in 1965. And likewise, the psychomotor domain and the levels were identified by Sir R.H. Dave in 1975. But most popularly, the taxonomy of learning is called as Bloom's taxonomy, as this idea towards the world, before the world, was first of all proposed by Sir Benjamin Bloom. Let us look at this cognitive domain and the different levels there. There will be enhancement in knowledge, and it cannot be always of one type. Knowledge enhancement can lead an individual to remember, to understand, to apply that knowledge, analyze, evaluate, and create. As educator friends, it is our duty to take the learner from remembering to creating, to enable the learner to develop love towards our subject, to an extent that he takes our subject as their profession. If we see to these different terminologies, I am sure you all understand their meaning, but even then, remembering is when the learner can recall what is being taught. When the learner can explain what is being taught, he is at understanding level. And when he can use this concept at a different place and can analyze that, okay? So applying is to use the information, and analyzing is when they can interpret, where they can distinguish between, and then where they can discuss and come out with the new learning, that is analysis, higher order thinking, right? Where they can do rational thinking, justify, it is evaluating. And as a result of these learning, if some new knowledge is being created, that will be the creation. Now, as an educator, if we want to develop such type of learning, we need to design learning experiences for the learners so that such type of learning can be developed. So what is Bloom's taxonomy then? Bloom's taxonomy is nothing but it's a dictionary. I believe you all understand the word dictionary. It is dictionary of not words, but it's a dictionary of verbs, right? And which type of verbs? Action verbs. We as an educator in the classroom, we need to ensure that there is action in the class, vibrancy in the class, right? So Sir Benjamin Bloom understood this long back, and he has come out with lot of action verbs which can facilitate the educator to attain learning outcomes, which can enable the educator to develop learning experiences which will help the learners to internalize the concept and come out with new and effective learning for the society. I believe I am reaching all of you. Let us see the first domain, that is the cognitive domain, right? What are the levels there? Knowledge, as I said, it is to recall. Yes, thank you. Comprehension, yes. Application, analysis. Now here what is written is synthesis and evaluation. So I'll come back to this, why it is written here synthesis in a while. But these are the different levels of the noun form of the cognition part of the Bloom's taxonomy, right? And it will have different verbs. So what are the different verbs? Suppose the teacher wants to develop learning objectives or learning outcomes of knowledge level. The verbs that can be used are define, describe, identify. Students will be able to list. Students will be able to state the Newton's third law of motion. Likewise, she can design different types of outcomes. Students will be able to classify the organism. Students will be able to interpret the concept, the theories. Okay, the students will be able to summarize the theory. Students will be able to distinguish between plant cell and animal cell. Students will be able to paraphrase. So in Bloom's taxonomy, friends, as per different level, say it is application level, say it is analysis level, say it is synthesis level, there are different verbs, as you can see. Students will be able to apply, construct, demonstrate. Students will be able to illustrate. Most of the time when we are framing questions or when we are going to the class to explain, we are so confined. We are so, accustomed to use a particular, they will be able to explain. Okay, we are not using this diverse type of things. And we are just conducting a stimuli, same type of instructions.